Philip Stoughton. I'm at Electronica 2024 and I'm on the IPC booth. I'm talking to Shaan Tharani. Shaan, was great to see you in Gdansk talking about some of the deals that you've been involved in that have been happening in the industry. It's been a kind of a strange year for EMS, a tough year. We've got past the election and maybe things will ease off in next year, but what's the environment for M&A like at the moment? What's the kind of sense of people's expectations?
So 2024 was indeed a funny year, so to speak. We saw a lot of deals of two sets. The first one was those who were financially unwell and needed a rescue, and that's what we're seeing more and more. And the second one we've seen is a lot of regional deals. So something under radar, many unheard of names, but those that are just consolidating to keep together, and predominantly from private equity money.
Okay.
Meaning that private equities have started to understand that the electronics value chain makes sense, it adds value, and therefore they've been consolidating in the regions. So if I take, for example, there's a company in Netherlands called H2 Equity Partners. They've acquired small engineering and PCBA companies, put them together, rebranding it, and now they suddenly have, not so huge, but over 20 million, 25 million of sales. And then hopefully that will continue in the buy and build across Europe over time until they reach a critical size and then exit it for a profitable outcome or check. That's one we're seeing. The other one we're seeing is unhealthy companies. And why they're unhealthy? Because either they've been mismanaged or they've been triggered and targeted by higher inventory that has led for them to finance inventory more. And given high interest rates, this had a double impact on them. And while they are trying to reduce it, their customers are not helping them. And as a fact of that, they have lower cash flow or something that's negative and have to bridge that through even further loans. And at one time, there comes a point when they are in deep red and they cannot breathe anymore.
And then it's
so
a fire sale situation.
That's
but if you can find the right partner, they can still extract some value.
Exactly. And that's on I don't want to sound only pessimistic. 2024 is a good year as well. We've seen a lot of companies demonstrating that they're flexible. The likes of Scanfield, Keytron predominantly, and GPV, all Nordic companies, but you've seen they've all given call warnings or warnings and announcements of decreased top line, which is fine because that is just across the board the way it's going. But they've been adaptable in the cost structure and they've been able to maintain their margins, which is a good reflection that they're resilient to it. And that is the non-pessimistic part. On the optimistic part, we'll be hearing about two new deals. One being done by MP Corporate Finance, so where we really are focused and specialists in the EMS and PCB industry as well as cable connectors, and this will be hopefully announced towards the end of next week. This is a larger conglomerate, an EMS giant, who is looking to offload one of their companies. And as a matter of that, they've hired us for that, and we're navigating them and helping navigate into trying to clear off non-core assets of them. So this will be done. On the second transaction, there'll be one between two Germans. That will effectively, hopefully, take place by, I want to say, in the next weeks. And the reason for that is because one German would like to acquire more medical exposure business, and this is being done. That is it, I want to say, for this year. But looking into the new year, we have now Trump being elected, he informing his cabinet. So the Trump and tariff, the big double T's, are being spoken about. I think we'll have a cloudy first quarter 2025. But after that, I believe from that point onwards, we're going to see a lot of M&A, a lot of consolidation, a lot of EU and Asian partners looking to get a foothold in US or strengthen the foothold just to maintain their presence and also retaliate against the tariffs.
I think the idea of a 20% tariff on European products shipped into the US is a big challenge for global companies that are headquartered here that don't have a physical presence in the United States. Figuring out whether they need to do that in the US or whether they can do it in Mexico or Canada is a challenge in itself because we don't know whether tariffs are going to come there as well. What we do know is we're in a position where the pendulum is swinging from global to local. My view is that we are looking for low-cost, local partners. So looking for a neighbor like Mexico or a neighbor like Eastern Europe, North Africa, that really offers value. Do you see that reorganization of the global footprint as a kind of key driver next year to M&A activity?
It is one of the drivers. I see two other drivers as well. The one is that a lot of M&A will be triggered by companies looking to diversify the exposure in end markets.
Yeah.
While, yes, there are a few that are really focusing on aerospace and defense and riding wave now, there'll come a time when diversification is needed. And I don't mean now going into automotive and into consumer and white goods. I'm talking about having a good mix of high-tech industrial,
Yeah.
having a good mix in combining that with aerospace and or medical,
Yeah.
or having all three.
Yeah.
And if you have that right mix, you can stand through a lot of headwinds,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to be resilient in your outcome. And you're not only following one sector, one trend.
Yeah.
That is one. The second area I see, and I look forward to that a lot, is I see a few bigger ones coming together.
Yeah.
And when I say bigger, I'm talking about more the European ones, which are approximately over 200 million in sales, fusing together, joining forces in order to identify synergies.
Yeah.
But on the other side, also to have that scale, which we're seeing more and more dominant on US players and less in the European landscape.
Yeah, it feels like you need to be over at least over $500 million, perhaps, to make sure you have a seat at the negotiating table, but also the influence in the supply chain on the buy side as well. That becomes really important. I think what's fascinating is we're going into potentially an era or a stage of really thoughtful, really strategic M&A activity, where you are thinking, well, this is what I do now and it's good, but what if we had more medical, or we had more industrial on the customer side, and what do we need to match that with on the supply side and the facility side as well? Maybe technology capacity in different global regions. The other thing that I get from the EMS CEOs that I've been speaking to this week and I've spoken to recently is designing their business for agility. They see the Trump thing as not being unexpected, and that swing to regionalization from global as being something that isn't going to be corrected. So they need to design a business that is agile and ready for the next geopolitical disruption. That's quite a challenge.
It is a challenge, but I think if you have your regional setup correctly, and right now I believe that a lot of our European players are more European and Asia focused, less America, so they don't feel it so much. But over time now, as we're seeing that a lot of customers saying, please don't produce from here anymore in China. So that's the first step. So then they got to do the China plus one, so look in Malaysia, Vietnam, or wherever around there. And now the second step is understanding, as you rightly said, finding a neighbor. So finding the Mexico, the Costa Rica, given if there's space out there for that, there's limited numbers of companies around. But that would be the next step for the European partners.
Yeah.
That is one focus point. The second focus point is looking to get more functionality. So focusing on power electronics or one or the other capabilities. Some are going into even the embedded systems. If that's the way to go, that is one of the avenues of growth and profitability.
Yeah.
So agility is one thing. Diversification of risk on end market exposure and regional is being resilient to whatever may come. And the second one is coming further out of your shell of just being a PCBA provider of build to print and offering more value chain services and being specialists in the capability.
Yeah, I think what's exciting there is you understand the industry so well, Shaan, that if a smart EMS comes to you and said, look, this is what we are now, this is what we want to look like in the future, you can start to search out puzzle parts that are going to fit in to create the picture they wanted. And that's real value add. I mean, that's way beyond just saying we want to buy this company, help us sort out the merchant banking side.
That's rightly said. So what we do for our clients is, on behalf of our clients, we help them navigate. And we don't only navigate for resilience, but we help them. We are architects for developing a plan greater than just buying one, digesting it, and reaping the benefits.
Yeah.
The playbook is longer than that.
Yeah.
And that's what one needs to keep into mind when having the strategic agenda on the table.
Yeah. Shaan, thanks for mentioning those two deals that are coming through. I'd love to organize a call and kind of talk through those. And I think understanding the strategy of deals that have gone before gives people a really good idea of what can be done in the future. So I look forward to doing that, and I look forward to talking again soon. But thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. Have a good time at Electronica.
Thank you.